Don't just live for tomorrow, or just live in yesterday. Just be glad for all you have that's in today.
Hey everyone, Connie here, and welcome to my blind reaction to She-Ra and the Princesses of Power, episodes 1 and 2. So yeah, this is probably a surprise to some of you. If you don't follow me on Twitter, you may not know that just a few days back, earlier this week, I had posted a little teaser that She-Ra was coming today, Sunday. Now, I'm recording this on Friday, but you're seeing this on Sunday. So, yeah, She-Ra is a new Sunday series we're starting. And that may seem odd to you, because we haven't done reactions on Sunday for a while. But we're getting back into it because I basically, I just don't want to wait for She-Ra. I don't want to wait to have to react to this. So, we're doing it. It's come out, and I'm excited. We're doing 2 episodes today because I do know that the first 2 episodes is a 2-parter. There are 13 episodes in total for at least this season. I don't know if there's going to be more in the future, hopefully, if this is good enough. And hopefully it is. But, yeah, I'm doing the first 2 today. So, let's talk about my history with She-Ra. It's practically non-existent. I did grow up to a degree watching He-Man and everything, and I know She-Ra is, I believe, the cousin of He-Man. I saw a little bit of She-Ra stuff here and there, but I did watch more He-Man and stuff, mostly because it was kind of forced upon me, if I'm being honest. I grew up in a family that has had this stereotypical view on what guys should be into, and, you know, I did identify as male for most of my life. I mean, I only came out as trans not even a year ago. Actually, 1 week from today is the 1-year anniversary of my coming out as a trans girl. So, for most of my life, I did identify as male, because that's what I was raised to believe. And I was raised also to believe that guys have to be into stuff like He-Man, macho stuff, manly stuff, masculine stuff. You know, the action, toughness, displays of strength and muscles and all that. It's like, I know better now that you can be into whatever you want no matter what gender you are. Like what you like. But I was raised into that, and as such, I was kind of pushed to like stuff like that. I was pushed to watch He-Man, Dragon Ball Z, and stuff like that. And there's nothing wrong if you like that stuff. And, I mean, even now, I like Dragon Ball Z to a point. I mean, granted, I don't like it as much as I used to believe I did, but still. I never really got too into He-Man, though, even for the bits of it I had seen. I always liked Skeletor, though. I mean, I think everyone always liked Skeletor. He was always fun. Now, I don't think he has anything to do with She-Ra, though, because She-Ra, I think, had her own adventures. So what I'm saying with all of this is that my experience with She-Ra is very minimal. Again, most of what I saw was more on He-Man. And with the She-Ra stuff, it was definitely more along the lines of just every once in a while I'd see it come on and stuff. But leading up to this reboot, I have seen some things regarding it. I've seen a trailer. I have seen some images and stuff. And yeah, I'm excited for this. I've been very excited for this. Because here's the thing. Some reboots have had some less than successful, experiences. We've had, like, Teen Titans Go. We've had Powerpuff 2016. Neither of those did really well, and a lot of people are soured to cartoon reboots because of it. But you also have to look at other big reboots. My Little Pony Friendship is Magic, Generation 4, is a reboot, if you want to be technical. And Voltron Legendary Defender is a reboot. And guess what? Voltron, made by DreamWorks Animation, She-Ra is made by DreamWorks Animation. So, I have a lot of faith in this. And then the trailer I saw and everything, really gave me a lot more. I mean, we have AJ Michalka, who's playing Catra. She's known for being Stevani in Steven Universe, and before that, she was part of the duo band Allie and AJ with her sister from Disney Channel stuff and whatnot. And I used to follow Allie and AJ. I actually really like their music, and they're great singers and stuff. So, yeah, I mean, I kind of grew up with that too. And I don't know any of the other voice actors offhand. I don't know She-Ra's voice actress. I've heard the name. I don't remember at the moment, but I knew it's not someone I know. Um, I like the art style. I like how it's a lot different, a lot more modern. I know that there's a lot more body diversity and just character diversity in general with this series. I don't know all the details, but I have seen pictures and stuff comparing the new designs to the original 80s designs. And I saw like one thing I shared on Twitter. Um, it was basically saying something along the lines of like how all the 80s characters, it's like they're so interchangeable back then with 80s animation. And it's like, yeah, they kind of are. I mean, they all look just like, it's like that's the 80s model. And a lot of people, it's funny, it's like there's a lot of people who are sour about cartoons nowadays looking too much the same, about having that Cal Arts style. But it's like, look at the 80s cartoons and tell me that the characters just don't all look like the same characters, pretty much, with a different coat of paint over them. It's nothing new. Um, but again, I've seen some of the character designs for this, and they look great. I love Catra's design. I love She-Ra's design. I cannot think of her, like, regular name at the moment. Um, but I love their designs. I've seen some of the other characters. I love their designs as well. Again, I do love the diversity. There's this one character who's fat. She is. And there are people I've seen that are complaining about that because she's not being, she's not sexy enough compared to how she was in the original. People are making fun of her for being fat and stuff. And then but there are plenty of people who are defending her as well. And it's like, I like that there's this diversity. I like that there's characters who are fat, who are different skin colors, who are just so different, because that reflects reality. It reflects how people are. And by having that, we have more people who are able to relate to these characters, much more than if they're the same models, basically. They're these gorgeous, stereotypical views on women, like a lot of cartoons were back in the 80s. And it's like, yeah, it's just, you can't view She-Ra as a realistic standard these days. Heck, honestly, you couldn't back then. And you shouldn't need to. Believe it or not, there are plenty of girls who will see this fat character and will look up to her because she's possibly, I don't know for sure, because I don't know all the details, but hopefully she's like this badass, cool character who's worth looking up to. And the girls who will see that is they'll see someone who can encourage them. And same with those who are people of color. That's what we need more of. We need more body diversity. We need more ethnic diversity in these shows. Steven Universe has done a fantastic job at that. And we've seen how popular it's become because of reasons like that. So let's continue to do that. But yeah, so from what I've gathered of the story of this, just going into it, seeing the trailer and everything, our main character, she is working for the bad guys, but she's eventually led to see that they are bad guys. And so she defects to become She-Ra, to become a hero. And because of it, there's a rift that's formed between her and her former best friend, Catra. And that's pretty much all I've gotten. I know there's a bunch of other cool-looking characters. I know there's a rainbow alicorn. And I'm saying alicorn even though it's not MLP. I know alicorn is an MLP term. But it's a unicorn with wings. It's a alicorn, let's be honest here. I've seen all these fun designs and everything, and I'm really hoping that they do wonders with it. again, I don't really know these characters as well, and since this is a hard reboot, they're likely to reimagine a lot of it. But I'm really excited for it. I have a lot of faith in this series going in. I have a lot of hopes for it, and I'm just hoping it at least lives up to some of them. I don't expect it to live up to everything I'm hoping for, but as long as it lives up to some of it, and as long as it's still good series narratively and character-wise, hopefully that's enough. Because that's all I can ask for. I ask to be entertained, and I ask for a good story and good characters. I mean, anything else than that, like good voice acting, good soundtrack and stuff, that's all bonus. I can live with that stuff being less than great. But as long as the story, the characters, and everything else, the entertainment value is great, then that's great. But I am really excited for this. I've heard a lot of good things going into it from people who I respect regarding their opinions on animation and stuff. One such example is one of my subscribers and viewers, Cartoon Lounge. I know we don't necessarily always agree on our opinions, but I do respect your opinion and your views on this, and I know you're really excited about this series. I know you've been going through it, and I hope that it lives up to the hype that I've been seeing you posting on Twitter. So yeah, we are going to get into this. 2 episodes. So when the screen fades to black, pause this redirect and go to the description below. Follow the link to the reaction, and after you watch it, come back here to the redirect and resume play. Because after it fades to black, then fades back in, everything from that point forward will be my afterthoughts, and will contain spoilers to the episodes. So that being said, thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you at the reaction. Okay, and we are back, and we will begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. Okay, so, in my pre-thoughts, I mentioned how I really wanted this to live up to the hype. I really wanted this to live up to my expectations and hopes for it. And, as I said, admittedly, I don't have a lot of background information regarding She-Ra. I never really got into the old shows and stuff. And I don't know too much about her. But that my excitement and hype for this series all came from the trailers, the information regarding it coming out, all of that stuff. And so I was hoping that DreamWorks would do like they did with Voltron and have another show that they just knock out of the park. And, I mean, based on these first 2 episodes alone, if I were to compare it to Voltron, again, based off of the premiere of Voltron, this is better. Like, maybe it's just because I'm more into this kind of fantasy stuff than I am with more mech sci-fi kind of content. But I actually enjoyed this much more than I did the premiere of Voltron Legendary Defender Season 1. And while it's close, I will admit, because I did love the premiere of Voltron, and I do love Voltron. Again, Legendary Defender specifically. I think what really put this over the top for me, even more so than just it being more fantasy-based, is the story. And I'll get to the characters in a minute, but the story of this, let's look at the story of Voltron. I'm going to be comparing this a lot because they are both by DreamWorks Animation and both made for Netflix. The story of Voltron Legendary Defender. We have this this military group. I don't remember exactly what they're called or whatnot, but on Earth, and all of our heroes are a part of it in one way or another. They end up going to try and, I believe, find a signal that they're... It's been a while since I've seen the first season of Voltron. I believe they're searching for a signal related to Pidge's father and brother, and of course Shiro. And they end up being thrown into all of this on another planet and all. Again, it's been a while, but the concept is that they're searching for something and are thrown into this, how do you put it? This what's the word for it? I'm trying to think of a specific word. I guess obligation would work. It's not what I was thinking of, but they're thrown into this obligation to save the universe from the Galra Empire. Um, with this, it's a lot different. So Adora is this girl who was adopted by and raised by the bad guys, but she was raised in such a way to where she didn't realize they were the bad guys. She'd been raised to believe they were the good guys, that the princesses were evil, that the princesses were like these monsters who would come and destroy them. She doesn't even really know what a princess is, per se. She just knows the word and the propaganda that was laid out before her by the Horde. By Hordak and, I don't remember the other one's name. We haven't seen Hordak yet either, by the way. But she's led to this belief, not knowing the truth, that the Horde are the bad guys, that the Horde are evil. So when she goes out, it's originally not like on any kind of mission or anything. She's just like, oh, Catra, her best friend, wants to get out, and so she's doing it for her. They end up crashing. Adora comes in contact with this sword that she just happens upon, and that gets her curious. So she ends up going out again, and that's where she ends up meeting Glimmer and Bow, and they eventually end up having to work together, kind of against their wills. And Bow is a lot more friendly about it. Bow is a lot more accepting towards Adora, but Glimmer works her way there eventually. Catra is confronted and has to go get Adora back, and as such, they come into contact during this battle, during a raid on this just happy little village that was having a party, having this festival. And Adora starts to see the evils of the Horde and starts to realize that what they're doing is wrong, that this was just a village, not this fortified defense that they were told it was. They're being outright lied to. And she's starting to come to terms with that. She's starting to realize that. So in the end, she has to activate the powers of She-Ra, which she's barely known. She's only like gone into it like once before, and it kind of just went right back out. And she uses the powers to help save Glimmer and Bow, and to fight off the Horde. Basically alienating herself and making an enemy of those who raised her. It's kind of this fish out of water story, but it's done in a much more fascinating way. The characters lend themselves to just more than that at the same time. Because Adora's not just some evil person who's just seeing the side of good and seeing how the evil guys are evil. She was brought into that as a baby. She was for some reason orphaned, found by the bad guys, and brought to their side. Now, I don't know if the bad guys know that she's, I guess, the inheritor of She-Ra or whatever. I don't know if they know that she has this power to her, that she has this ability to activate the sword and all. I don't know. But if so, that also adds another layer to it, that they brought her to their side to try and use that power for themselves before the enemy could use it against them. I just really like all the layers and depth to this story. The characters themselves are fantastic. Adora is cute. She's really loyal, but at the same time, her loyalty can be tested. Because as we see, her loyalty to the Horde is shaken and even outright broken when she finds out that what they're doing goes against what she believes in. She understands the difference between right and wrong. The only problem is she was led to believe the Horde was right. So when she finds out it's wrong, she knows that that's wrong. She knows that it's something she can't believe in. And so she understands that she has to turn against them. She has this childlike wonder to her at points, too, where she's discovering all this new stuff, and I love that. I've seen that in many other cartoons and stuff, where it's like you're discovering where the character's discovering something for the first time, and they're just like in this state of shock and awe and wonder and everything, and I love it. Plus, the animation and art style with it lends itself to it very well, because it makes Adora look obnoxiously cute. Which, I'm not just saying that because I love cute things. I'm saying that's a good thing because it helps the expressiveness of it. The expressiveness of her face and her emotions in that scene led to showcase how much she was getting attached to this, which helps just solidify how legitimately believable her turn against the Horde during the raid was. The fact that she had gotten so attached to this festival, to these people, to even just something like the foods there, which she was scarfing down, and I thought that was hilarious and adorable. But it shows that she got so attached that she understands this is something that's good. This is something that's nice. And so when she sees the Horde, the people she had been with for her entire life, destroying all of it, it really helps solidify in her mind that, yeah, the Horde are the bad guys here. That, I feel like, even everything before that, she was still kind of on the fence. But with that, that's what won her over to the side of the princesses, to the side of good. That was the big moment for her. And that's why I think that having that expressiveness, having the animation and art style work so well to make her cute in that scene, to make her really showing that how well she was getting attached to it, was important. I think it was a really smart move on the animators' part. And I also like how Glimmer is untrusting at first, but I also like how she comes to trust her. Because she doesn't just trust her over time because they spend time together. No. She comes to trust her because repeatedly Adora saves her. And Bo, of course, but she comes to see that Adora isn't a bad person because she comes to see that Adora could have left at any time, as she pointed out. Adora could have left at any time. But she stayed and saved them and protected them and fought back against the Horde. She knew, because of that she could trust Adora. Not completely. As she said, she doesn't fully know if she can, she's trustworthy, but she had the faith in her from what she had seen, and I like that. It's a lot better than some shows and movies and whatnot that try to just make it happen a little too quickly without much to build up to it. This felt natural. And Bo is just a really accepting, nice guy. That's how his character is. So to show him like that the entire time, pretty much, it works, because that's how you have to do it. You either have to have the character be like that the entire time, or it has to be a believable workup to it. By having it, if you just had it to where it just suddenly kind of happened, it would feel unnatural. But if they're just always like that, then it makes sense for their character. It feels like it works for who they are. And you get a sense that that's just how their character is. We saw a little bit of Glimmer's mom, who I guess is the queen, the leader or something, or maybe she's a princess as well. Glimmer and Bo did kind of say everyone's a princess, so I wonder how that's going to work. I guess we'll find out maybe next episode. But we saw a bit of her, and she seems, from what we gathered, Glimmer was more on the side that they should be actively going after the Horde. But her mother seemed to be more of like, based on what Glimmer said, retreating, being more cautious and everything. And as I mentioned during the reaction, I kind of sided more with Glimmer there, because to defeat an enemy, if you're especially defending your people against that enemy, you have to take action. You can't just be wholly defensive, and you can't just escape all the time. You can't just run away. You have to take action. If you're just on the defensive all the time, if you're just running away, then you're not achieving anything. And you might be able to protect some people, but in the end, the Horde is just going to continue to get stronger, and eventually they're going to overpower you. So I kind of agreed more with Glimmer on that one. But we'll probably see where that goes as we continue on. Now, Catra. I kind of figured from the trailer I saw and the promotional stuff and everything, I had seen like a couple screenshots. I kind of figured Catra was going to be a character I fell in love with. Her design is adorable. This couple screenshots and the stuff from the trailers I saw have been fantastically adorable and fun and everything. And as I did mention, I do love cute stuff. I am very much into cute characters. So there is just that instant attraction for me. I love her automatically because of how adorable and fun she is. I love the purring, by the way. Like, I'm a cat person. I've talked about this before. I mean, I played Hustle Cat for live streams and stuff. Was that on the old channel or was that on this one? I'm not entirely sure. I think it was on the old channel before it was terminated. Either way, I played Hustle Cat, and that's one of my... that's, honestly, I'd say my favorite visual novel. And I just adore cats. I've always have. I mean, I love dogs, too. But I've always adored cats more. And so, having a cat-like character like this, it's just always appealing to me. So I just instantly knew she was going to be one of my favorites. But then, they give her a likable personality as well. Even the parts of her personality that are loyal to the Horde. Even the parts of her personality that are more evil. Or more... well, I wouldn't even say she's completely evil. I would say she's more antagonistic, but not straight up evil. She knows that she's being manipulated by the bad guys. She knows that they're lying to them. But it's like all she knows. So she has that blind loyalty to them nonetheless. And I kind of like that as well. It shows both sides of things. Both her and Adora, this is all they know. And Adora had a lot more faith, it seems, in them. While Catra was a lot more, I guess, suspicious of them. She knew about all of the manipulation and all. So Catra, she, instead of how it would normally go is the one who knew about the manipulation would be the one to rebel against them. But this time, she's the one who has the blind loyalty to them because, as I said, it's all she knows. And she knows she's being manipulated, but at least it's something that she does know. It's comforting to her. It's home. So even though she's being manipulated, even though she's being lied to and she knows it, she doesn't trust the other side enough to rebel. And because that's not home for her. They're not her people. And Adora, meanwhile, she's the one who has this unwavering blind faith in the Horde. She's the one who wants to rise in the ranks, wants to do her best, is working hard to be the best soldier she can be. And she's doing well, to the point where she's even given this big promotion. But she chooses to rebel, to reject them, because she sees that her faith in them was broken. That the trust she placed in the Horde wasn't, it wasn't given back to her. That she was lied to and manipulated all this time. The people she believed in had betrayed her in her mind. So I like the way that they're doing this. I like the way that they handled that with Catra and her, and the reasons why she rejected them, why she rebelled against the Horde in the end, and why Catra chose to remain. I just really like that. And as I said in the beginning, the story, the characters, and entertainment value are the most important things to me. And definitely had that in spades in all levels. They were phenomenal here. But I said the other stuff is just kind of icing on the cake, but I do want to talk about that icing on the cake. The voice acting was phenomenal. Every character, like, the voice acting was great. They delivered all their lines fantastically. They sold the emotion of each moment, whether it be fear, whether it be projecting power, whether it be just this unwavering confidence or a lack of confidence. Everything they performed here was fantastic. And I mean, I expected that from AJ Michalka because, again, I know her work and I know she's already good at this. But I didn't know these other voice actors, so I was unsure of how they would perform here. But they did great. They did wonderfully. The art and animation was one thing that was contentious leading up to this premiere. Because a lot of people out there were saying, well, one, that the art style is too basic, too simple. And it's like sometimes simple's good. Steven Universe's art style is simple. A lot of these big cartoons nowadays have simple art styles, and yet they're still beloved. They're still huge. I mean, it doesn't have to be this really complex, gritty, well, not really gritty, but this complex, realistic style with realistic body proportions and everything, like Legend of Korra or something. It can be a little more smooth and freeform and simplistic. I think it lends itself well to this kind of series, personally. Um, and I know the designs were also, as I mentioned in my pre-thoughts as well, a point of contention. I love the designs. I mentioned that at the beginning as well because I had, again, seen character designs and whatnot prior to this. I love them. I think they are fantastic. And seeing them in the actual show itself, I think they're good. They fit the characters, and they're just really, it's really wonderful to see these kind of different designs. I mean, Bo is this tall, dark, muscular man. We have Glimmer, who's shorter and definitely thicker. She's chubbier. She's not what I would call straight up fat, but she definitely is not what some people would consider the ideal body weight. She's definitely got a little more thickness to her, which is fine. And I think she's very, very well designed and very beautiful. And then Adora has a more, she has a more athletic design. And that fits for her character, for this kind of stuff we saw that she does. These designs make sense. And they also bring in that diversity. Our three main heroes here, three very different body types. Yet every single one works, I feel. And then we have Catra, who's a lot more thin and I wouldn't say straight up lanky, but she definitely is a lot more thin and toned, I guess would be a way to put it. She has a lot more of a, I don't know how to word this. I'm not good at wording things, you guys know that. But like compared to Adora, she's a lot more thin and slender, and she's able to, because of that, be more stealthy, be more agile, which, I mean, kind of goes into her cat theme. So it all makes sense. It all works. Now, I don't know about some of the other characters. Like I said, I know there's this one character who is a lot more thick than even Glimmer. And again, I saw the design and I thought she looked great. I thought she looked like beautiful and everything. I don't know how that's going to work into her character, but I have a lot of faith in this at this point. I have a lot of hope. And I mean, I'm a fat girl. I'll just say it. I'm a fat girl. So I look forward to seeing her character because I really hope to be able to find inspiration in her, to be able to connect with her and just fall in love with her like I have with these other characters. So yeah. But yeah, I've just had a lot to say on this premiere because it is the premiere and there's a lot to talk about, especially with a series like this that has been contentious. But the last thing I do want to mention, and regarding still to the designs, is on Adora herself, because that was the biggest point of contention among the designs. A lot of people were saying, especially fans of the original series from the 80s, were saying that Adora looked too boyish, that she didn't look girly enough, that she wasn't sexy enough. And the entire point is because, like, she doesn't have these big breasts that are showing a bunch of cleavage and stuff. Her hair's not as flowy as it would normally be in, like, the 80s version. She doesn't have, like, it doesn't have these large defined lips with notable lipstick and stuff. These sensual eyes and all. I've never really understood that side of things, like when people were saying that. I think she looks great. I think she looks attractive as hell, personally. And she doesn't need to be showing all that cleavage that the original 80s version did. She doesn't need to constantly have the flowy hair that's, like, perfect. She doesn't need to have those sensual eyes or well-defined lips. Like, we're still at a point where people think that to be attractive, you have to be that stereotypical, that honestly, like, over the top. No one looks like that in real life. Even the models, who are the closest thing to looking like that, don't actually look like that in real life. Most of them have to put on a crap ton of makeup. Most of them have extensions to their hair and stuff. Most of them have had modifications to their body. A lot of them will like wear like specific clothing to push up their breasts, accentuate their curves. And it's like, if you're into that, that's fine. And if you're someone who does that, that's fine. But you don't have to do that to be beautiful. And I thought by 2018 we would realize that. We would realize that beauty comes in all shapes and sizes. That you don't need to modify your body to hell and back to be beautiful. But I mean, we are still living in a world where it's like girls are advertised in the media as you need to be like these like these girls in the Victoria's Secret commercials. You need to have the perfect shape to your body and stuff, and we're still unfortunately like that in a lot of ways. There are a lot of people who have turned around from that, but it's sick. Because then everyone who's not like that are looked at as just unworthy of being called beautiful. And it's disgusting. I hate that so much. And again, if you look more like that, and if you're into all of that, that's fine. But don't try to like make that the standard. Don't try to make it like so that a girl has to look like that to be seen as beautiful. I mean, again, a girl can be seen as beautiful like that, but don't make it so that she has to. That's all I'm saying. Adora, in her design in this series, is beautiful. She's adorable. She doesn't look like a boy. Like, I really don't understand that part. How the hell do you think she looks like a boy? And even if she did, who the fuck cares? Why is that a problem? Why is that an issue? Again, why do you think that a girl has to look a certain way to be beautiful? Who cares? Who just, Either way, this was a phenomenal start. It really gripped me. The characters, the story, everything was great. I really don't have anything to complain about. I don't really have any negatives. The designs were fantastic. The voice acting, the art and animation, all of it. The story, the characters, I can't find any problems. But maybe that's me. Tell me in the comments below what you thought of the first 2 episodes, the series premiere of She-Ra and the Princesses of Power. What did you think of the characters? What do you think of how they're handled and how their stories are handled? What do you think of just the overall story? What do you think of the art, the animation, the voice acting, all of that? Tell me your thoughts on everything you think about this series, no matter what it is, even if you disagree with me on something. Tell me your thoughts in the comments below, and thank you so much for tuning in. This will be our new Sunday series, so tune in next Sunday for episode 3. In the meantime, I'm Connie, and I'm signing off. See you all next time.
And though you've come through many obstacles, shed tears along the way, you're still standing, live, love, laugh.